Oh no.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Zoom meeting, our last one, unless I decide to get crazy and do another one. Today we have Shay, Jeff, Sarah, and Cassie, and I wanted to paraphrase the questions that we got from them and make some points, and then address the kind of biggest lessons from the course, or what I hope they may be considering these questions. The main thing I would like to assure you is the question: can my project change from where I thought it was? I wanted to do this. I realized it ended up being way harder than I thought because of these unforeseen circumstances. And I still want to do this, but I think it'd be easier if I did it this way. And oh my God, will that still count as a 10-page paper? Or whatever. And I wanted to make it clear that yes, I would revise your plans as needed based on the rhetorical situation that you find yourself in, and based on your ability to keep your own sanity and meet the goals for the project, which are two big goals. Whoops. Been saying I'm on the struggle bus here. We're going to share my screen here. And go to Gmail so I can craft a letter to y'all, which I should have done before. So what I'm hoping is that this process that you have of refining your project as you go is to consider the real two big lessons of this course, and then to fit that into your self-assessment. See what I'm working with here? My computer is so sad right now. Okay, and the first big lesson, actually, you know what? Let's make this more interactive. What was the big lessons of this course? If you had to say, most important words, we'll go Austin Kleon style. Most important words from the course. If you had to pick 5 of them, what would they be? And we can give the viewers at home a chance to really think about it as well. What are the 5 most important words that you're going to take from this semester or the last 15 weeks, but particularly this class, CO302? Any ideas? What are they?
I mean, just generally like direct communication or
I like the word direct too. Oh my God, such the struggle bus. Direct communication, thank you.
Finding your audience.
Jeff?
The world has digital environments now.
Yes.
They need to be able to use those.
Yes. I actually really love this list, and I love the fact that finding your audience ended up being at the center of these two things. And I wanted to say the big ones that I'm hoping that we think about and get out of this is the writing process itself and the process of creation of anything itself. Considering this is an upper division writing class, I really hope, and the last required writing class you have as a higher educated person, that you have a more sophisticated understanding of what it actually means to write well, and that this is a process that has been written about, studied, there's scholarship on it, and good things to listen to. And the other tail end of this is what we would call rhetorical awareness. And I am going to add one more of information literacy, i.e. our ability to not only read, but also to write. And this means if you're thinking about part of our big goal so that we all don't die in a flaming apocalyptic craziness, we kind of need to be able to read and write information. And we also need to be able to read and write. Remember, one of the big, maybe the easiest way to understand this is to remember the cover letter as an assignment. The one thing I did pull up for us to at least put on your radar again is if we had an analog day, I would love this book that just puts letters in your hand is so freaking awesome. As an example of how to write some kind of a direct communication to your audience in digital environments. All of this kind of comes down to one of the goals that the state has, and the goal that I have for you is to really understand the rhetorical situation which means kind of this also, the other big word that gets bandied about here is purpose. But this also at a high level means constraints and other things that end up influencing an audience's ability to communicate a message to an audience. A lot of that in the times that we're living in has a lot to do with how we process information, right? We want things quick, simple, easy, entertaining, funny, vulnerable. Give me it all, and I want it now. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but this is the work that we did that I hope you got with the idea of icons, with the idea of text as image, which we didn't really get a chance to dive into as much as we could. There's a whole huge realm there. And then this process of making art, in the sense that language is also kind of art project. Okay. With terms of the writing process, putting this all together, if you're gonna do a good job understanding your audience, communicating with them in these environments, and use information that hopefully is gonna help them in a variety of professional situations that are actually gonna help you, there's a process that you need to go through. And it's kind of like in big picture, there's a giant pre-writing process or a pre-doing thing. That this is your collecting information, brainstorming, drafting, prototyping is maybe the coolest way to think about this. This is supposed to be messy. It's supposed to be like you're not censoring yourself. And then there's this sense of drafting and outlining. And for some people, this happens in different orders, but it should happen where you start to give a structure of what you're going to do. I actually like doing this kind of at the same time I start drafting, really. And we kind of know what this is. And then as you do this, we're all in the stage with your final projects where you're like, well, shit, that's not working. I actually have to change something major because something in here there's something here that I need to fix. And then once now I have it and I have this thing, I can even go another time and edit or polish. Want to make the big distinction that revising here literally means re-seeing your work, which is actually very difficult to do when we're human beings and attached to certain ways of seeing things. This is where peer review ideally is working. This is why also I think in terms of life planning and life writing, having other people you can talk to about what you think you're going to do is really actually valuable to help you reassess. I heard a great quote, my favorite quote this week. People will waste years of their life not being willing to waste a few hours. Freaking love that. Love it. Because we should be wasting more time doing this. This is thinking. Then we should be getting into trouble trying to execute a plan that we didn't actually prototype effectively in the first place, which is fine because that's the process of creating something, right? So, and then what I'm suggesting is a reflecting phase. And what we're doing in reflecting is really thinking about how this worked how this worked for our audience in these environments to build our awareness. It's interesting to me about this class in particular, and 302 is different from the other upper division comp classes that I teach, is that we ideally are focusing on the impact of digital environments and how that connects. And so I want to end this course in a way that I've ended it before that I love, which is to think about the connection between digital environments and analog environments. Austin Kleon makes this really makes the point that we should be more tactile. Like these are this is the original digital technology, my digits, right? I don't know if you remember that. But what do I mean by analog environments? Your garden's a pretty good example. But that's maybe a bad example. I'm talking about like physical things. And I think a very interesting way to begin to really let this course sink in is to add in this variable to what it means to communicate. And here we have it brings us back to the kind of cover letter or the personal letter. How many of you like to get real letters in the mail?
Yeah, if it's from
How many
family.
of you, yeah, how many of you wish you would get more letters in the mail? Maybe.
I don't check my mail often, so it's not bad if I got too many.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody just send me mail, please. If, let's say you do like receiving letters in the mail, what do you like about it?
It's personal. Like it has thought behind it.
You get a sense of care, social connection. It reminds you of like, oh, right, this person is actually there, not just on the Zoom meeting or Facebook or wherever. I don't know about you, but it helps me feel special. Okay. Okay. I guess I wanted to end here to remind us that what I hope we get from this course is thinking about how the writing process is a skill that we develop. Pre-writing, oh my God, I missed the biggest word here. What's it gonna be? Oh, yeah, it's... I mean, I'm hoping that thinking about the writing process in all of this pre-phase and how that connects and bleeds into drafting and outlining and connects into revising and polishing, that we also think about what we're doing to make human connections with people. This is also suggests a common ground. And that's really kind of where I wanted to end, that you succeed, remember, how do you write a good cover letter to an employer? That's a good place to make sure we review. What are you doing when you write a good cover letter to an employer for a job that you want?
Investigating what they want.
Thank you. And then trying to make what they want as easy as possible, to making their decision as easy as you can. We know this about human beings, that we like to have these kinds of connections, and like the follow-up letter, they tell these things that are kind of really basic. I know this is something that I personally want to get better at. And so when we move to digital environments, I don't want you to lose sight of the analog environments that we also have. That can do things. So I don't know about you, but on my summer list, I want to write Rick Rubin a letter, and I want to tell him how amazing he is. And I want to see if I can send him a link to my website so that if he likes what he hears, I can fly to California and record in Shangri-La Studios. Because that would be amazing. And if I send him an email that's with a lot of fancy GIFs in it, because that I learned in my writing and digital environments class, that won't even get to him. I almost guarantee it. Because guys like that have an army of people protecting him from people like me. And he's the guy that I need to get in contact with to advance my career in a meaningful, substantial way. No one has freaking time for you. No one cares about you. And that's brutal. Especially in our generation. Just kidding. You're special. You're amazing. You deserve everything you put your mind to. Of course it'll work out. It always does. We're getting very different cultural messages. I love Disney. I've been getting into Disney, but freaking some of the romanticism is not as healthy. I'm ranting now. Point being, I hope that we understand why Disney is so freaking successful, and we understand why people that do what they do well are successful. And we understand it's a lot harder to make a Casey Neistat or a Nerdwriter video than it looks. And that when we're thinking about not only rhetorical awareness in digital environments, this is kind of this big, sophisticated, scholarly word, multimodality, it just means different ways of talking, right? So I can give you a meme. A lot of composition instructors are having their students write final memes instead of a final
Nice.
reflection. And I think I really should probably give people that option in this class. As long as there's some written component to go along with it. I won't let my composition instructor ways die. You must think about comparing your work to an essay. We're not done yet. Anyway, that's what I had. So, as a final activity, I asked, I don't even know if I sent this email. I feel like I'm struggling so hard. I asked you to bring some paper and an envelope. Did I send that email?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read it apparently.
If you have paper and a pen, you can follow along, and we'll give people a couple of minutes to acquire that. I didn't have that starting this meeting. Try again. And then in your notes, if you want, but not on the piece of this, if you have a fresh piece of paper, this activity was taken from futureme.org. Which is really fantastic. I could pull it up, but you could too if you're interested in it. I think it's .org. Hopefully I have that address right. But it's basically, they offer the service of letting people write emails to the future. So you actually don't even need to write it to, you could send it to any email address and then date stamp it. So you could send me an email that I'm going to get 5 years from now, if I still have said email address. And you can set how long in the future you want to write to. So I saw this and I'm like, what a cool way to end a composition class. Give students the option of writing a letter to their future self, but make it analog, because they probably be more interested in reading an analog letter to themselves than a digital one. Just have them put it in an envelope and stash it somewhere and say, open at this date, like a time capsule. I make this my last final optional activity because I think it's kind of hilarious and bends our perception of time, but also because it's a great example of rhetorical awareness. That if you're going to write a good letter to yourself, you should think about what you know about yourself and what you don't know. And when I'm writing to myself in 5 years, shit, maybe we should do 3 years. Maybe we should do 6 months, since time seems to be accelerating so much. But if I'm writing to myself in 3 years, there's some things I know about myself that are not going to change. I'll tell you what they are. I love to talk about myself. That's freaking hilarious. I love to tell me nice things about myself. I love to ask questions. I just got one of these letters I wrote to myself. It was like, "Dear Sean, you're so great. Keep doing what you're doing." I'm like, oh, whoever wrote this sure knows me. That was so nice to read. Maybe you're the kind of person that really likes to rag on yourself. I don't know. Point being, I think this is a very funny and interesting kind of ending activity, especially for a digital environments rhetoric class, because I hope, if anything, this class teaches you that all the tools you have to communicate online, that communicating online is just one of other tools that humans have been using for a long time to communicate ideas to each other in a direct and immediate way. I think letter writing is a dying art, and I wanted to give you like 5 minutes to actually write a letter to yourself. And I was going to write a letter to myself as well. That's what I've got for you. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody going to take the challenge and actually write a letter? Are we going for it?
Good try.
I'm gonna think about it. I don't know what I'm gonna say.
Okay, good. What could we say? We start with where you are. So describe your environment. Describe what position in school you're in. Describe what you're thinking. Describe, just paint a little bit of a picture. The room that you're in, who your roommates are, the boyfriend, girlfriend you are potentially being with, but maybe not. the who, like all of those things. The where are you now? So in the basic level, like, I'm a junior. Hello. When at the time of writing, I'm a junior in this program. I think I'm going to med school. Yeah, that's the first place you go. Second place you go. What do you think where do you think you'll be? That's the other fun exercise of this. It actually develops a part of our brain that it's not very well developed, is the part of that weighs potential futures. So question 1, where are you now? At a most basic level, physically, emotionally. Oh, look at this, autocorrect, good job. Educationally, romantically. We take that word to mean a little bit more than what Disney means by it. Just joking. Love you, Disney. Where else? Professionally. Have you reached out to anybody? Are you thinking about reaching out to anybody? What leads do you have? Okay, health-wise, maybe. Where are you going? Where do you think you're going? This is a really hard one to do, and I also kind of remind you, I hope that you're not hard on yourself if you don't know where you're going, because nearly every professional I know is in the job that they're in that they did not plan on being in. Some things randomly happened that they were house sitting for this person, and then that person actually had the job they needed done, and they found out they could do it, and now they're like not using their degree technically, but they got a good gig. I say that's like 80% of the people I talk to that have good gigs.
Sorry.
You're good. And then if you're like me, what compliments can you give yourself? And make them good. Make them compliments that only you would get. Like, give yourself some credit. You know, can you make an inside joke that only you would get with yourself? Those are the best jokes. And if you want to, like, any good wishes, you know. Okay, well, I think I'm going to let you all do this. Partially because I've got a call. It's partially because I think this is an interesting exercise to take some time with, for sure. What did you learn this semester? What do you, oh, that's the other good one. What do you hope you won't forget? As you get older and get more consumed with things, you lose track of things. People, you lose track of people too. What/who do you hope you won't forget? Keep in touch with. Maybe it's a good reminder to reach out to homeboy Jim, whoever that is. Okay. Thank you all for a really great semester.
Thank you.
Sad.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here today, and I'll be sending some of this. I'll send this out, and I will be available to do final project, final things. My God. So, in last lesson, don't use dead words. Things, dead word. Try to be specific as you can. I'll be hanging out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you.